All right, 2021 Buick Envision Avenir. Let's get started with the exterior. I really like what Buick has done here with the design. They've finally injected that premium / luxury aura into the design of this vehicle that it desperately needed, man. This is leaps and bounds ahead of whatever they were doing in the past. This is in a different stratosphere, okay? And this is the Avenir trim, so it's got some nice little touches here like that chromed out taillights, right? That's bespoke to the Avenir, and it really does complement this metallic gray paint job that you see here. Now, every single paint color, aside from like gloss white, I believe, is an optional $495 extra, so that's something to keep in mind with the colors of this car. But besides that, I mean, look at it. Look at me. Look at yourself. Now look back at the car. Nice, right? It's definitely a sleek looking car, and I can certainly see other design elements with this car. Okay, it's kind of taken some design cues from other SUVs, but you know, all in all, the way they've kind of pieced everything together, I gotta give Buick props, man. They've definitely did it the best. This is certainly one of my more favorite looking SUVs on the market today, and that's surprising to say, but it's true. It's got some 20-inch wheels on it, which again are bespoke to this Avenir trim. You can get a different set of 20s with the other trim levels. Okay, there's like a sport touring package that you can get with the other models, which I don't really think is worth paying up for. But if you want some black wheels or whatever, that is on offer. But these 20s, again, it provides a nice cohesive design here. So no problems there. Now you let me know in the comment section how you like the way that this vehicle looks, because I want to talk about something else. The fact that this is made in China. In fact, 94% of the parts used in this car are made in China. So something to keep in mind. But why is it? Why is it that this car is made in China now? Well, it's because nobody bought it in the United States. So because the demand for Buick is so low in the United States, they had to shift and move their factories over into China, which one thing I didn't know about this, but apparently Buick is seen as a highly prestigious vehicle in China. They love Buicks over there. I had absolutely no knowledge of this, and I think Buick is trying to elevate their image and their status in the United States to that level. If you thought you were supporting the United States when you were purchasing this vehicle, well, you are, but in spirit. Okay, if you're an owner of, one of the more previous generation Chevrolet Buick products, and you're one of those people where you have to have a GM vehicle, then this is definitely the vehicle to upgrade to, okay? But enough of that. Let's go ahead and let's transition over into this drive now, shall we? All right, merging onto this little highway here. 2-liter 4-cylinder, that's your only engine option. And let me tell you something, power is definitely not an issue with this car. 228 horsepower and 258 pounds-feet of torque. The thrust of this vehicle, both in the city driving and in the highway driving, is excellent. Even when you're up to speed and you want more, this thing really does deliver. So I'm really pleased with the output of this engine. It's better than what the numbers would suggest. It certainly does skedaddle along nicely, so no problems there. But there are 3 key detriments I've noticed with the driving of this car, okay? The first of which is handling is not its forte at all. There's a lot of torque steer with this car, and that kind of detracts from the driving confidence that you have with this vehicle. But one thing that is really good about this car is the stability at speeds, okay? I had this car at some very good speeds, and the stability is great, the straight line stability, that is. So I'm really impressed there. And another quality I really like is their noise canceling tech that they're using here. This car is very quiet at all times, okay? Even at speeds, this car is very quiet. I noticed some tire noise, but it's not too bad as a whole. There's almost no wind noise with this car, and this vehicle does utilize double pane glass. So I'm really impressed with Buick's efforts at quieting this vehicle down. It's really well done, and it's actually quieter than some of the other luxury vehicles I have tried. But I'm about to bust this little turn here, and we're about to check out some of that handling here again. And one of the things I noticed, it always tends to push the front end a little bit. It's just so not good. And the steering is so lightweight, you can just move this car with a pinky if you wanted to. It's so light, and it doesn't match up with the handling characteristic of this vehicle. So that I'm not really a huge fan of, but again, this car has 20-inch wheels on it, right? It's got McPherson front suspension, and it's got a multi-link rear suspension. But this vehicle also has like the premium technology package too, and this vehicle has the kind of adaptive suspension, okay, the continuously adaptive suspension that you can only get with the Avenir trim, I believe. So with everything the way it is, this car is so damn smooth in its ride quality. Over the smaller, more jittery roads like I have it here, it soaks that up really well, and also over the larger bumps, it's also very comfortable. This is no longer just some rebadged Equinox, okay? This is actually built on the same platform as the Cadillac XT4, and I have tested that vehicle. And one of the main differences I've noticed between the XT4 and this Envision is the XT4 handles a lot better than this car, okay? Granted, I did test out the Sport trim with all-wheel drive, and this is actually just the front-wheel drive trim, okay? So more on that in a little bit, but I could tell that the XT4 was tuned a little bit better for handling, and it wasn't as soft as this vehicle. But again, that was all-wheel drive, and I think if you got this Envision with all-wheel drive, that would really help out the handling of this car. I mean, the steering is still going to be super light. I did try to put in the sport mode. I don't like driving this car in the sport mode because it's actually plenty reactive as is in the touring mode or the regular mode, but I just want the handling to be a little bit more precise, if you will. Maybe with the all-wheel drive, it will help to distribute the power a little bit better, maybe, I would hope. And all-wheel drive is about an $1,800 option, just so you know. This engine is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and how does that perform? Is it too many gears? If I'm going to be honest, not really. This is actually a really well done automatic transmission. It's smooth, it's responsive. Again, even in the touring mode, it's really well done. The other thing, you know, aside from this handling, this engine doesn't sound bad either. Okay, it's a turbocharged 4-cylinder, but you know, maybe the noise it's producing is fake. Maybe it's being produced through the speakers here, but I don't care. Whatever it is, it's not a bad sounding 4-cylinder. So that's another good highlight to this car. And also this vehicle, it weighs around 37 to 3,800 pounds, depending on what trim level you get, and also the all-wheel drive, which adds about 150 pounds. And that's not a bad weight figure, but keep in mind, this is a more petite SUV, okay? This thing is about 183 inches long, but as we're about to see in the interior segment, this is surprisingly spacious inside. But this is actually surprisingly spacious. But before I talk about that, there's actually one other thing. So the visibility of this vehicle is a little strange, okay? I don't really tend to complain about this stuff. Usually when I get into a vehicle, I can get accustomed to it very quickly, but in this car, I don't know, something about it, even when I have the seat all the way down or slightly up, this A-pillar / side view mirror, okay, it's very obstructive for whatever reason, and I don't know how you can change that. It is what it is at this point. It's just part of the structure. So I don't know, other vehicles I've been in, it's just not this weird, I guess, to sit in. And also, if you're a taller driver, okay, you're going to want this steering wheel to come up a little bit higher, because the way it is for me, I'm 5'11", it's okay. You know, I'm not the tallest person, but I'm not really short either. I'm just right in the middle. And the steering wheel position is fine for right now, but you know, if you're a little bit taller, you're going to want to have this up a little bit higher. So that's just another thing I've noticed. But as a whole, dude, if you're just looking for a comfortable cruiser, this might be it for you, but I would suggest you going with the preferred base trim, because you get a lot of features as standard with the preferred. The price point is also great. I spec'd out one, and the starting price is around $31,800, which is great for a pseudo luxury car. Yeah, 18-inch wheels. You're also going to be able to get this optional convenience package, which will enable you to get heated steering wheel like this car has, and heated seats, and also an updated 7-speaker audio system as opposed to the 6-speaker audio system that the vehicle would come with base. And all in all, for around $35,000, you're getting a really well-equipped car. Yeah, it has some of its shortcomings, but for the most part though, that's not a bad price tag. So I would definitely suggest you looking into some lease options as well as financing options. You know, make sure you get as many discounts as possible, and it could make sense to the right person. All right, so now that we are stopped, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior space, because this is surprisingly a solid place to spend time. It even looks good. Now, I did hear 1 or 2 rattles coming from around the door areas when I was going over some of the jittery smaller bumps, but as a whole, this is surprisingly solid in here. You know, when you close the doors, everything just feels pretty good in here. You know, the fit and finish isn't half bad. And again, this is far superior to anything that they've done in the past. So this is a step in the right direction for both the outside and the inside. Now, ergonomically, everything falls into place very nicely. Everything's easy to use. It's kind of got this driver-centric cockpit going on here, and it's nice. You know, everything is easy to access. You have your own dedicated climate control, your temperatures, your fan speeds, all that stuff. Now, a few things you do have to look up at the screen for, like the fan speeds, but everything else, okay, you have your own temperature readouts, the heated and cooled seating, you have your own little buttons here for that. This whole center stack is a gloss black finish, which I'm not a huge fan of. It just attracts a lot of dust, but it is what it is. You have your own buttons here in the center for your parking sensors, your traction control off, lane keep assist. No more traditional gear shifting knobs. Okay, they went to this more electronic button setup for the park, reverse, drive, all that stuff. I just wish when you put the vehicle into drive, the e-brake would automatically turn off, but it doesn't do that. You got your little mode selection buttons here, but again, I just like to drive around in the touring mode. And you have your little wireless charging pad, which you don't have to step up to an Avenir specifically to get that, but it is a great place to store your phone. I have a very large Note 10 Plus, and that fits no problems. You also have a USB connectivity, USB-C, and you have a memory card, I believe, for your navigation setup. So with the Avenir, you don't just get a 10.2-inch screen, you also get navigation installed with that. But that doesn't really matter, because even as standard, you get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so it's not really an issue. You don't need navigation built into the display, but with the Avenir, you do get that. But before I talk about the infotainment and some of the other features, let me talk about these seats here, because I am a sucker for white interiors, but that's not the point. They look great. You do have the diamond stitching going across here. That's bespoke to the Avenir trims, but these seats are very comfortable, very non-fatiguing seats. You can spend a lot of time in this vehicle, and you can put a lot of miles on it because it is just that damn comfortable, especially coupled with its excellent ride quality. This is really well done. I really do appreciate that. Now, if you go with a kind of base model, preferred, if you will get cloth seats with some leatherette inserts. So I don't personally have an issue with cloth seats. I think that's perfectly fine. Hot temperatures, cold temperatures, it doesn't really matter. Cloth seats will always have a neutral temperature to them. Another thing that this Avenir trim specifically has is the kind of massaging function, but it's not really a massage function in my opinion. It's similar to what Genesis does, in which it has like these air bladders which kind of rolls around in the seats, and I think it helps to reduce fatigue even further. So the seats are already great, and that little function really helps to make this a comfortable driving feature. So I really enjoyed using that. You have automatic one-touch windows for the front 2 windows here, not for the rear, but it is double pane glass here. You have some memory seats here as well. Automatic headlights, automatic high beams, again, all great functions there. And I believe you get the leather wrapped steering wheel as standard, so that's something to note there, with some of these black plastic paddle shifters, which is totally unnecessary in this car. The automatic mode does just fine as is. One thing I don't really like is the volume controls and the track selection buttons, they kind of put it behind the steering wheel, similar to what Dodge does, or Stellantis, if you will. I don't really like that. It's kind of a weird place to put it, especially when you just put it here in the front, but it is what it is. That's just what they decided to do. You do have heated steering wheel here as well, but you can get that as an option with the base model too. You have plenty of storage space here. Like I mentioned, you have the wireless pad for your phone, so that's good. And a lot of space in the door pocket. You put a very large water bottle in there and it'll fit, no issues. 2 big cup holders here. Plenty of space in the center armrest as well. And it's like the split opening armrest, so you can not disturb the other person when you want to open up the center armrest, and it's surprisingly solid, which I like. A lot of space in the glove box as well. Now let's talk features here, because even as standard, Buick offers a ton of safety features as standard, like lane keep assist, forward braking collision assistance, and just a whole slew of other things. Okay, rear cross traffic alert. There's about 9 safety features, I think, that you get as standard. And with the Avenir trim, it kind of enhances and builds upon those safety features. So you get sensors where, you know, if you're backing up the vehicle or you're parking forward, whatever you're doing, it'll kind of detect objects as well. And again, a lot of the things you don't really need. I mean, if you went to driver's education school, you shouldn't really have an issue driving in the first place. You don't necessarily need the car to drive itself or anything like that. But, you know, with the Avenir trim, it really kind of does. I mean, it's kind of overkill with the safety functions here. So I'm really impressed with Buick on that regards, okay? Another thing, this car has the Bose audio system, okay? The 9-speaker Bose, and it is so damn bass heavy. I can't believe it. So if you like bass in your audio system, well, there you go. The base audio system is a 6-speaker, but even with the preferred bass trim, you can upgrade to a 7-speaker system, which I haven't tried those systems, but I mean, this Bose, I mean, I kind of get what they're doing here. They're trying to make everything very bass heavy. So if that's what you like, well, I think that's kind of the same characteristics that the other audio systems will have. As standard, you're going to get an 8-inch touchscreen, but in this case, you have the 10.2-inch, which again, you can option a base model with this 10.2-inch screen. I think GM has one of the best infotainments out there because this responds really well. It's really easy to use, logically laid out. You get the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, and the quality of the screen is really high as well. And another little feature that Buick has introduced is this air quality system with this air ionizer. It'll measure the particulates in the air of this cabin, and it'll try to kind of reduce it with its ionizing feature. So again, it's not all gimmicks in here. You know, all the little technology that Buick has introduced, it's actually pretty nice. It kind of actually helps out the consumer a little bit. So it's not all just gimmicks in here. And you have some Alexa, Amazon Alexa compatibility as well. And the gauge cluster, I like what they've done here. They gave you physical kind of tachometers and speedometers here, and they gave you like this digital display in the middle, kind of how the old Audis used to be. That's what this is. I don't really like a full digital gauge cluster. I don't think that's necessary. This screen that they have in the middle is really well done, shows you a lot of great information, and again, it's very easy to use. That's one of the biggest highlights with Buick's interior here. Everything is easy to use and everything is very ergonomic. This car also has the optional $1,500 panoramic sunroof, which does add a lot of light to the cabin space, but again, I don't really think it's necessary to pay up for that. Unless you really like it, that is an option. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about the rear seats, because you'd be very surprised. Even though this is a more compact SUV, it's not very large, it's more petite in its nature. There's a lot of space back there. Okay, headroom is great, and also the legroom is very respectable, but also the tow room. Okay, so what I mean by that is the space underneath the front seats really allows you to kind of stretch out back there. So very useful. Being this Avenir trim, you get the heated rear seats, which is a great function. You also have your climate control back there for the rear occupants. The seats continue to be very comfortable back there as well, with the same kind of diamond stitching. So well done there. And also you have a power operated rear tailgate. Of course, you can also kick below if you want, and you can open it that way. There's a little Buick logo that kind of illuminates back there, and you can just kick right underneath there and the tailgate will open. And there is a decent amount of space back there. The seats will fold 60-40, so that's pretty good. You also have a spare tire back there as well. It's a 17-inch spare tire. So again, very pragmatic car. A lot of space inside, a lot of good storage space as well. Trunk is good. It's a good little package here. So let's kind of conclude on this vehicle. Okay, this is really a vehicle I would suggest you leasing. That's really the best way to own this car. And if you're in the new car market, I would definitely suggest you inquiring about this vehicle, okay? This could be a very surprisingly affordable option, even though this is kind of pseudo luxury. Okay, it's a Buick, not a Chevy, right? Even though it's like a semi-luxury car, the price point isn't bad. And again, I suggest you getting a preferred trim level, okay? The base model with the kind of convenience package. You will actually be able to get this car for around $35,000, and it will have a bunch of great features, okay, like the heated steering, the heated seats, the 7-speaker audio system, all these kind of things, right? And the 10.2-inch screen. That's a really good price for what you're getting here. Again, it has its drawbacks like the handling, the kind of visibility with this car. A few little gripes there, which I think they can work out in the future. But as of right now, if you know you're a mellow driver and you're not going to be pushing yourself, this could be a decent choice depending on how affordable the leasing and the finance rates are going to be. This could be something to look into with some proper discounts. So that's where I'm going to leave it. It's a nice little package and a good step in the right direction for Buick. So thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.